Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here. Really do appreciate it. Today we are talking all about Sandy Springs parks. Living, working, playing in Sandy Springs can be a wonderful life. And if you're looking to move to Sandy Springs, this is definitely going to be the video for you. A lot of people that are moving to this area though ask about the parks and like the local amenities, if you will, that are available to the public. So that's what we're doing today. So while she may not look like much right now, pretty soon here, this is going to become Veterans Park just across from City Springs over there. And of course, there's a giant park there, but you got to stay tuned for the very end where we walk you around that park and show you all that it's going to have to offer. But this is Veterans Park here. So again, they just finished demolition on a billboard that used to be here, a little parking lot, and you can still see a little parking down there. But anyway, this is going to be a tribute to all of the veterans of Sandy Springs. And so we've had a ton of people through the Air Force reserves. We've had a ton of people that live here in Sandy Springs in the Army, the Marine Corps, the Navy, and the Air Force, and we appreciate all of them for their service. But that's going to be just a really cool addition here to the community. A lot of the reasons why people move to Sandy Springs, obviously because of the parks, but also accessibility to these parks. There are a couple neighborhoods right here outside, just outside a couple of these parks that are walkable and accessible very, very easily from a number of the neighborhoods all around Sandy Springs. So hopefully we can show you some of those neighborhoods and just how close they are. But again, a ton of people move into this area in particular, not just because of its proximity to like downtown Atlanta and midtown Atlanta, but certainly a lot of people want to be in this area because of the properties. The values in this area have just absolutely skyrocketed, and it makes just for raising a family, all this stuff. Young professionals want to be here. Literally everyone wants to be here in Sandy Springs. So, but of course the parks are why we're here today. So we're going to show you around another new park here. And, Sandy Springs is a fairly young city. It was actually established in 2005. While it's always been its area of Sandy Springs, the actual official cityhood has actually only been around for about 17 years now. So still a relatively young city. And a lot of the parks and recreation, are still being developed and still being improved. But really over the last 5 or 10 years here, the city's just done an amazing job of putting together spaces all around the city. And so you can even see here, there's just a neighborhood right across the street there. And, we're over here at the Marsh Creek rain garden, which I'm about to show you and kind of walk around. Just a really cool little space here. Literally right outside, City Springs is literally right there. So anyway, let's take a look around the Marsh garden here. So this is just a really cool little park here. Obviously the water feature there in the middle, but you got these butterfly bushes here, these huge stone walls. Not huge, this is probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 acres maybe. But just a beautiful area. There's a couple like benches over there to the left, and then you can see the covered benches and tables over there. You can come out here and have your lunch if you want. Just walk around the path here. But just really, really cool. And so quiet. You can't hear anything other than the water here, of course. All right, I'm not going to scare this guy off, but look at that guy right there. Holy moly. I mean, that thing is bigger than my fist. Oh, where'd he go? There he is. So there you go. Just absolutely beautiful. If you're looking for something a little more active, and again, City Springs is like right, I don't know if you can see the corner of the building right there. That's actually City Hall there. As I said before, accessibility here from, say this neighborhood, this is Mount Air Springs actually, if you're looking on a map, literally just right across the street here from Marsh Creek. So the rain garden park here at least, but this is pretty typical. You'll see a lot of neighborhoods right outside some of these parks that make them all walkable. And of course there's sidewalks, on both sides of the street going in either direction here. So makes it it makes it really, really nice just to be in this area and be able to walk to stuff like this. So as we make our way a little further north here, this is Johnson's Ferry here that we're coming up on. And it kind of splits here. So Johnson's Ferry goes to the left, Abernathy Road goes to the right, and this next one is called the Abernathy Greenway. It's actually 2 for 1, so this is the big sign you'll see at either side of the Greenway. But you've got the park on this side with like a little gazebo area, a couple picnic tables and stuff, then you got a big set of stairs here, a little bit of green space as well. But then on the right side of Abernathy over here, if you're headed east at least, it's on the right side, has some walking trails back here. So they've got a couple parking spots for people that are coming from a little further away, but there's a walking trail that runs the entire length of Abernathy here that I think eventually they're hoping to connect into the Path 400, which is, you know, going to connect into the Beltline. So connectivity is a big deal here in Atlanta, and trying to make, you know, all of this a little more accessible for everyone, and even in the suburbs is I think a great quality of being, you know, in Sandy Springs here. The Abernathy Greenway is a very, very unique park because each one of the sculptures and play pieces are really actually like a piece of art. And so you'll see as we walk around here in just a moment, each one of them have a very artistic flair to them, if you will. Each one of them were basically created specifically for this park. So different artists, sculptors, you know, got together and created each one of these pieces, which I think is really, really cool. And it also speaks to, you know, the rich art history here in Atlanta. Specifically to Sandy Springs, there are a ton of really, really great artists that came out of Sandy Springs. And so you'll definitely see that reflected here. So again, coming right out of a neighborhood here to Abernathy, you'll see a couple little art pieces here. Those aren't really for playing, obviously, more for decoration, if you will. But this is the other entrance, the east entrance to the Greenway. As with all Sandy Springs parks, they are open dawn to dusk. So once you have had your opportunity to enjoy the parks, all of them do shut down, and they do have security that comes through to ensure everyone has responsibly enjoyed all the parks. So let's walk you around Abernathy Greenway now. So this is a home actually right in the middle of the Greenway. And I believe this is the last holdout, but if you want super accessibility, this would definitely be the home for you. That's literally right here next to the park. So here's the first little area. Of course, you got these benches all over the park. And this is one of the more open spots here that you don't have like a feature or anything else here, but you'll find kids out here throwing footballs, kicking the soccer ball, playing baseball, stuff like that. So you see it's got the cutout, it fits in there, and then that one fits in here. Pretty cool. And then of course you got this little face hole, photo op if you will, but it's crazy, this mosaic, how much detail is in there. And then this has to be the coolest piece. So this is referred to as the spider. Obviously it's got 8 legs. And then a little head over here. With the web in black, of course. But just a really cool piece. And then of course they do have this path that walks all the way up, and then it kind of splits here in the middle. But again, benches all over. Tons of beautiful landscaping. You do have a sidewalk just outside the park. So then the last piece to Abernathy Greenway here is a little gazebo area there. Again, a couple picnic tables underneath there, and then a little stairway up to connect the other side of this neighborhood over here. But just a really cool park, and everyone that comes to Sandy Springs, we end up showing them this park just because it's so unique, it's so different than anything else, you know, around the city. But we've got 2 more parks to show you here real quick, and hope you're enjoying this. I wanted to come up with something a little bit different for today's video because again, A lot of people are asking about, you know, the parks, what there is to do around the city outside of, you know, live, work, and how can we add more of an element of play. Again, this is hopefully valuable content, gives you a little bit better perspective of this area, but also, again, the city does, I think, a phenomenal job of, you know, putting these things in place and then managing them. I mean, all the bathrooms are super clean. Everything's really well labeled and very easy to find. So anyway, we just really, this is one of our favorite parts about living in this city, no doubt. All right, so this technically isn't a park, but this is called the Lost Corner Preserve. So there's community garden back there, tons of beautiful landscaping all around here. One of the coolest things, though, I think about this park is this paver driveway all throughout, and even including the sidewalks up here, is completely permeable. So it takes all the water from here and then runs it down to a little reservoir. But this park is probably one of the more recent developments or additions here. But you can just see the landscaping here is absolutely amazing. And then, of course, to have the community garden here is absolutely amazing as well. But you see houses right across the street. And this is Brandon Mill, so they are doing some new sidewalks in here as well so that they make it even more accessible. But again, just a really cool little space in here. Again, Lost Corner Preserve and gardens. A huge Georgia Power dam where they you know, have a big reservoir where they produce power. But over here there's a ton to do. Stand-up paddle boarding. You can do some kayaking from here. There's this is right along the Chattahoochee River here as well, so you can actually rent all that stuff as well if you don't have it yet, or if you're thinking about buying it and want to try it out. So obviously Monday at 4 o'clock, not exactly the most ideal time to be here for renting, but you can see this gentleman right over here has his paddleboard ready to go and is going to hit the water. So if you go down this little pathway down there, it leads you right down to the water, and then you can hop right on. There's a little dock there and everything to make it nice and easy to get on and off of the paddleboard, kayak, canoe, whatever you got. And then if we continue down here just a little further south, so down here you've obviously got some power lines here for the dam, but this is the dam here to the right. So they produce hydroelectric power there, and then there's fishing, and again, you can put in here to go further down the river, but most people come here for the dog park. So you have the small dog park here on the left, and then the large dog park on the right. But this to me is just one of the absolute highlights of living in this area. Being able to be this close to the water is really, really cool. This park really has a ton to offer, though. It's got something for everyone, the kids, you know, the adults, if you like to paddleboard, kayak, all that type of stuff. And then here you actually have a hiking trail that there's two versions. There's one that's like a mile, I think, round trip, so it's a half mile in, half mile out, and then another one that's a mile in and a mile out. So if you just want to get a little hike in, you can do that as well, and it's literally right here next to the park. So this next one technically isn't a park, but if you like to spend time in the outdoors, you'll definitely enjoy this, and especially for those of you into golf. Steel Canyon Golf Course up here, again right outside of the Morgan Falls Park here, is also super accessible, excuse me, and just a really, really beautiful course, to be honest. So here's a quick little shot there of the golf course. And you can see there's more people coming in here with their kayaks and stand-up paddleboards and stuff, but this area in particular just offers so much. So, you know, we're a little south of the river. If you look on a map, the Chattahoochee River kind of divides Sandy Springs to the south and Roswell to the north. But even from here, we're talking 10 minutes to 285 and 400. So still really, really close to, you know, everywhere you want to be. And of course, a lot of people can walk to these parks or to the golf course here, you know, 5 to 10 minute walk, no problem at all. So the last is probably my favorite, though, just because of its proximity to the city, the downtown City Springs area, at least, and Sandy Springs downtown area. It's the most recent development, probably been finished now, I guess, about 3 or 4 years. They host the fireworks every year on the 4th of July there. They host numerous concerts throughout the year as well. They host Movies by Moonlight, which is put on by an organization called Leadership Sandy Springs here, that does about 4 or 5 movies, I should say, throughout the course of the summer. So once the kids are out of school and you're looking for something to do on a Friday night, you can always find me and my family up there. It's just a great time. They have a couple food trucks and stuff. They come out, they're serving popcorn, and of course there's restrooms close by as well. But to me, City Springs, really the park there is just absolutely everything I love about this city. So again, we're talking a lot about accessibility, walkability, all that type of stuff, you know, from these areas, these close by homes into these parks. And so here's what the walk looks like up to City Springs. So if you live here in Mount Ayr Springs, and even over on the other side of Roswell, you'll have Mount Vernon Woods over there and Hammond Hills. That all of that is super accessible here to City Springs and, you know, the park here in the middle. So as we make our way here into downtown Sandy Springs, of course, I think if you've been here for a little while, you've heard me talk a little bit about this development in this area, all of it, the restaurants and the residences and everything that's currently in here, you know, from a commercial standpoint, or even from, you know, a living here in City Springs. But I think, again, this is one of the greatest parks here right in the middle. So again, City Springs Park, you've got tons of seating, benches, you've got swings over there right next to the fountains. I mean, you've really just got literally everything right here at your fingertips. And what's crazy, most crazy, I think, about this park is that beneath us is 3 levels of parking deck. You'd never know it. But of course, you got all the water features as a throwback, you know, to the heritage of Sandy Springs here. Tons of, you know, water features, and there's one of the entryways down into the parking deck. I think there's something like 250 or 300 parking spots down there, but you've also got street parking up here. Of course, the green there in the middle. Here are the restrooms, as well as some picnic tables over here. And then of course, the kids' favorite splash pad right in there. So again, just makes this park absolutely one of the biggest assets, I think, to Sandy Springs. And so if the, you know, three levels of parking deck wasn't enough, the parking deck actually stretches all the way from here over to the other side. You also do have some surface parking up here, and then you just walk across the street and you're right in the middle of the green. So those are the most popular parks, I think, around Sandy Springs, and we're going to start off and finish right in the same place here. All this driving around, I gotta get some more gas here, but just across the street, that's the so this is a big triangle here where the Veterans Park will be. So you can kind of see what it looks like here from the City Springs side or the opposite side. But this whole corner here will become one massive park, and I think is really just going to make a nice transition from, you know, the City Springs area down here into more of this commercial and then eventually residential area over there. So again, I know this hasn't been super real estate focused, but a ton of people have been asking for this type of content around the parks, around what else can you do in Sandy Springs, you know, especially if you have young kids, a young family, but also if you're into golf or want to get out on the water. There's tons of that around this area, so don't ever feel like there's a shortage of it. But if I missed a park, you live in Sandy Springs or you live in the Metro Atlanta area and you've been to Sandy Springs and I missed one of your favorite parks, I'd love to hear from you down in the comments. Also, if you have any questions, comments, anything else that you want to leave below, please do that as well. We try to address all of those, and I think we've got a video coming up where we'll talk a little more about the questions and comments that have been addressed here in the video series. But also make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and that you hit that subscribe button as well as the bell notification so that you don't miss a single video around Sandy Springs, around North Atlanta, what it's like to live, work, and play here. And we just want to make sure that we're delivering as much valuable content here as possible. But also, if you have an idea for a video, leave that down below. You can always reach out via text, email. You can always call, or we can schedule a Zoom call to get you on the phone. If you're moving to the Atlanta area especially, you know, we'd love to help make that as smooth as possible, whether you're, you know, 90 days away from moving or you're thinking about moving in 2023. Feel free to reach out at any time. But also, if you already live in this area, as you can imagine, I'm getting a ton of people moving to this area, specifically in Sandy Springs, as well as all over North Atlanta. And in fact, one of our first, you know, clients that just came from Austin, Texas, just purchased a property up in Suwanee, Georgia, so not too terribly far away from here. But they found us from the YouTube channel, which is fantastic. That's what we absolutely love. And so if there's ever anything that we can do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out. And again, if you have any ideas for more videos, we'd love to hear from you as well. So feel free to leave a comment down below. But I hope you enjoyed this, and hopefully there was something of value just to give you, again, a little more taste of what this city is like, what it's like to live, work, and of course play here. So hope you guys have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.